computer. So sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to go back quickly. So the military to civilian mindset transition program is essentially a mental TAP, a mental transition assistance program to help veterans reconnect with themselves, reconnect with society, so that they can reach the pinnacle of their potential. Now, this is for service members, veteran, and military families trying to access their full potential in the civilian world. And the military mindset is proving to be a little bit of an obstacle in that effort, if you will. I am a little nervous that there might be people waiting to jump on the webinar, and that makes me nervous a little bit. So I'm just going to take a second here. I'm sorry, guys. Trying to figure out how to get out of the full screen so that we can see if there is anybody waiting to join and is not being admitted, because there is this, I'm not sure even if you can see that particular portion of what I'm doing, but I'm trying to see if there aren't people waiting to be admitted in the Zoom and leaving, because that would be bad. And the screen has completely changed the interface. Anyways, so we're recording. I'm going to apologize later. So in the next 45 minutes, we are going to present our mindset skill development system and how it can be a game changer for veterans, as well as a step-by-step process our clients are using to achieve the pinnacle of their potential over time. And my promise today is a free and easy game plan to help all veterans take back control of their lives and achieve pinnacles of success, happiness, and fulfillment in all areas of life. So this was planning a little bit at the last minute. So put your credit card away, nothing to sell on this program, and you get a great gift when you stay to the end. This is a 3-stage of personal transformation process. It's a $97 value, and it's got great information. I'm going to share that information with you in just a second, because we have to set the argument for this particular meeting. Albert Einstein said, life is just like a game. First, you have to learn the rules of the game and then play it better than anyone else. But that essentially says that in everything we do, there are rules, universal rules. Some people use religion, some people use the law of the universe, some people use other mental frameworks to get to where they want to be in life and achieve happiness, success in anything that they want. The rule of that game is really what we are going to cover today. Now, who I am. Who am I? I created FaithSMagnet about 2-3 years ago, and I actually started early in my life. I went to the seminary because my father wanted me to be a priest, although he himself was a military man all of his life. And that sort of confusion turned out to be very powerful to me in the direction that I gave to my life, even though I wasn't aware of it. And I became aware of it in 2015 when I had a traumatic experience, right? When I was working at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and essentially got arrested for a reason that was legally insufficient. For the first time in my life, I never had any problem or any sort of, situation of that sort. And all of a sudden, I'm facing the police commissioner, Bill Bratton, inside of the Federal Reserve for a completely bogus reason. And as a result of that, a lot of other things happened. And then that's how I started having experiences of PTSD. And the system that I create is essentially a visual-based system, only because early in my career, I was working in technology. sorry, in technology. And my job was to create visual representations of back-end application, like the sales allocation module, for instance, is an application that we worked on at Lockheed Martin. And so when I was going through this traumatic experience, I was using visual learning to refocus myself and to make sure that I stay focused on where I needed to go and what was really important to me, what really mattered, right? What would allow me to connect with society again, what will allow me to feel a little less afraid of watching my back if somebody is following me. And all of these thought and emotion were very, very hard to manage. And the only way I was able to get out of that situation was because I had these tools that were keeping me on track on that personal journey. So, and that's how in the end, when I started coaching people, I realized that I was a little bit ahead and ended up creating the entire system. It's just a set of visual representation that help you cover blind spot in your mind. And the idea is that the reason why it is so powerful is only because of visual learning, because the content of the system has been taught for thousands of years by religions, sciences, and philosophical doctrines. The only big difference here is that it is tangible, and visual learning is so powerful. It makes a difference, and that's what worked for me. But I wasn't aware of it at the time. I was just continuing pushing until I wrote a book, and then it evolved into FaithSMagnet. So that started around 2015. And the foundation of the program is based on all of the teachings that all religions have in common, as well as all of the teaching all human sciences have in common, and the teachings that all philosophical doctrines have in common. And that's where we found this sort of common denominator and started putting it in images. Now, visual learning is 60,000 times faster and easier than text, and this is scientifically proven. And that the combination of these two factors, the fact that we focus on the most simplistic things in life to make it so simple anyone can understand, and at the same time using visual representation, is the combination of these two factors that actually make this program really, really, really powerful. Now, what is that ideology? What is this common denominator between all human science and all religions? What does it look like? What does it say? What is that game that Albert Einstein is talking about? What are the rules of that game, and what are the players of that game, right? And the logic is simple. We live in 3 dimensions. Everybody knows that: mind, body, and soul. And our mindset is essentially what keeps the mind, the body, and the soul in perfect alignment. But our mindset is so much more powerful than we are that the only thing that we can do is configure it in a way, right? But the goal of the game that Albert Einstein is describing and the teachings of yoga is essentially that we have to have our mind, body, and soul in perfect alignment in everything we do. Now, what does that mean? Yoga means to unite. It means that everything we do, we have to have a sincerity and an authenticity to it. And that's how we essentially achieve our talents, right? You cannot be fake and actually be happy. You cannot be fake and be fulfilled. You cannot be fake and be successful, right? And so it's only the portion of our lives where we have mind, body, and soul in perfect alignment that we can actually thrive. That's actually what makes us thrive. And yoga is that practice where you look at yourself from within. And that's why I love this quote that I picked up on the internet that says yoga is a mirror to look at yourself from within. It is exactly what it does, figuring out how much of yourself is in perfect alignment, how much of yourself is happy. And that's what you have at stage 1. When you are the worst version of yourself and you cannot control your emotion, and you believe that your thought and your emotion or something that you just supposed to to watch and not do anything about it, when in fact you are in control of your thought and your emotions. And so that's the idea. And in stage one, you don't have awareness. You don't know who you are. You are the worst version of yourself, and very little of you actually understand. Of yourself, you actually understand. That's the idea. Because when we are on this stage, our fears are completely in control of our life. And we're going to see that in just a second. Now, stage two, it's a little bit better, but it's not fully integrated yet. So this guy is going to be superior to this guy in the sense that he's going to have a higher purpose. He cannot be depressed. He cannot have he can be depressed, actually. I'm not trying to say it's that systematic, but it's going to have a lower chance of being depressed or experiencing thought or depressive emotion and just letting sit there. He's going to know that he has to fight them and remove them, right? But the real version of, because this guy still have a lot of selfishness, a lot of ego, he's also a risk to himself. And now the only place where you are actually a full functional person who can access all your gift and your talent is when you have your mind, your body, and your soul in perfect alignment. And in this program, that's what we help people do, and we're going to show you how we do it. The perfect mental configuration that we call here PMC is just another representation like the one you probably have seen already. Some of the one you probably have seen already is just a bicycle, and it shows how all areas of life are connected. And it's essentially the skeleton of your mindset. And then you have to build up your mindset skills and develop yourself whichever direction you want. But once you have that perfect skeleton, you cannot evolve in a wrong direction or go backward, because that's a challenge in life. We are all born in stage 3. As a baby, we love, we want to play, we want to learn, we want to do a bunch of stuff, but life makes us go back to stage 3 and then stage 1, and we lose our purpose because of society, because of all of the things that can happen to us. And that's essentially the idea. This mental construct is the purpose of this program, helping people understand the logic behind the way we can manage our thought and our emotions, and then understanding that they're not just sitting there for us to be a victim of them. We can actually change them, and we should change them. And that's how we actually grow. That's how we self-actualize, and that's how we achieve the pinnacle of our potential. Now, what does that mean? Our mind, body, and soul essentially mean that the mind is giving our thought, our soul is going to give us our emotions, and the body is just going to be the result, which is our behavior. And this equal here means sincerity and authenticity. So our thought plus our emotion has to equal our behavior. We cannot think of something and then the behavior is different. That just means we are a hypocrite, and then we are out of alignment, mind, body, and soul. Hypocrisy is what makes us out of alignment, and sincerity is what makes us in alignment. So in this simplistic equation, he just gave us an equation of x equals z, and we're going to look at that in just a second. That's the most simple equation in all of mathematics. And so the 3 stages of personal transformation is essentially explaining how we think and how we behave when we are on each of these stages. And so that's that document I'm going to send you in the end, and you're going to get it through your email. Now, let's jump in. Why is it so challenging? Why is it so challenging for veterans? Why is it so challenging for human beings? Why is it so challenging for everyone? Because self-actualization is the highest need, but is the need that very few know that we have. Because at the moment we have food and we have water, we have love, we have achieved a few things, all of a sudden we think life is over, we are now happy, and we stop growing. And this dynamic is essentially where we achieve everything that we want here. Because when we self-actualize, that's how we deepen our self-knowledge, and all of the things that we achieve here as lower needs are actually going to improve as well. So we are going to be able to sleep better, to eat better, have more money, more love, more everything, if we push forward here. But the problem is the human mind is going to get content with what it has, right? So I know for myself it's true. And when you have achieved a few things, you think, sorry, you think that you'll be maybe greedy to want more, or you may not be aware of how to get there. And Abraham Maslow says here that what a man can be, he must be. This need we call self-actualization. It's the idea that the more you know who you are, the more you achieve the pinnacle of your potential and your talent. And that's what we're going to dive into today and show you how our mindset skill development system help us put this stage on steroid. Because when you are on top of your game in terms of your self-actualization, when you are a self-actualizer, everything underneath improve. You'll be able to afford a bigger house or a better house. You have better things, and you have more passion, you have more purpose. So all of a sudden you win more trophy, you get more esteem, and then you push harder and higher, and everything continues improving. And that's that dynamic that life really is, our ability to hit the pinnacle of our potential. And our mindset skill development system is essentially trying to do that in a scientific and mathematical way that anybody can learn. And so this is based on a screenshot that I took off of a video on YouTube from Help Me Psychology. I thought the visual was perfect, so I didn't want to just recreate it, so I took a screenshot of it. And so that's the idea of Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. Everybody is already familiar with Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need, but the need that we are focusing on here is self-actualization. So if you have a veteran who's homeless, who doesn't have food, it doesn't mean that they cannot actually already start self-actualizing, because sometimes we think we need everything in order to start our self-actualization, when in fact every stage here is a stage of self-actualization, because it's based on who you are that you eat certain food. If you're vegetarian, you're not going to eat meat, and so forth. So self-actualization is actually everywhere. It's the purpose of life, because that's how we achieve happiness, right? And so now here is how to do it. How, according to looks like I selected something. I played the video because there was a link on it. The human mind is, or the human being is a lot like a computer, in the sense that our mindset is just a configuration of our mind. We have the growth mindset, who is perfect when it comes to dealing with adversity and putting our mind in that direction of growth, but it doesn't include things like a higher purpose and things like that. So in order to have a growth mindset, there is a certain configuration that needs to be in place inside of the mind, and that's also what we are teaching. But the idea here is, let's try to see the human mind as a computer with a bunch of function, or as a smartphone with a bunch of apps, but we are only using a few of them, and we are not using most of our abilities. Now, the way it works is actually simple. This game Albert Einstein is describing is simple, and we've already talked about it, so this is going to be a little fast. And the purpose of life is essentially to be happy and fulfill, successful in all of the things that we saw on Abraham Maslow hierarchy of need. And in order to achieve all these things, we have to have awareness on how to do it. We have to know how it works. We have to know the rules of the game that Albert Einstein was describing when he said that we just have to learn the rules of the game, right? And so this line here is our life journey, where we are going to accumulate the experiences to learn these rules. Now, that awareness is essentially a self-awareness first, in the sense that it's a journey towards self-actualization, self-realization, personal growth, self-knowledge, self-discovery, self-love. And that process is actually where we learn who we are. Now, if we imagine that we can measure this, not in terms of time, because so you can live 100 years and not give yourself enough experience to grow, or give yourself the wrong experience, and somebody can live just 20 years and be configured properly, and then they manage to hit pinnacles of success at a young age, and they get smarter than somebody who is younger. So it's not who is older, sorry, and it's not necessarily a function of time, but a function of percentage of knowledge of yourself, right? And so if we can measure that one day, hopefully maybe it can be measured, but today it's not. But let's assume it's possible that you can measure how much personal development somebody has achieved, right? And so at that point, you're gaining, if you are here, you have 0% of self-knowledge. That means you don't know who you are, you cannot access your talents, right? At 30% of who you are, you can access 30% of your talent. 50%, you can access half of your talent. 80%, which is already exceptional, you can access 80% of your talent. And at 100%, you are essentially winning in Albert Einstein game. You have played the game better than anybody else, and you manage to hit 100% of self-knowledge, your dreams, your passion, everything. It's checkmate. You won the game. But what does that also mean, right? Because this life acts that we draw earlier between our thought and our emotion and our behavior, right, is essentially saying that our thought and our emotion has to equal our behavior. Our behavior is based on who we are, and our action is based on our vocation, what we do, our job, right? Our job has to be based on who we are, right? And so that's the idea, X equal Y, because we all end up on this axis, because what you give is what you get. The way you, the life you are going to get is dependent on how much you know your gift and your talent, your purpose and your passions and things like that. And so that's the idea of this curve here, that the more you know who you are, the more you can access this vocation, your success, your gift, money, like good money that also makes you happy, as opposed to bad money that makes you, the more money you get, the more miserable, as opposed to the more money you get, the more happy, right? Because it's not just one way. And so that's the idea, that in order to make money that makes you happy, you also have to be the best version of yourself, which is the version of yourself that knows who you are the best and can locate already your vocation. And we teach how to do all of this. We don't just explain this at a higher level. We teach all of this now in our program. And so then when you start, if you know just 80% of who you are, then you can access fewer of your talents. And it's just normal. 40%, you can just access 40% of your happiness. But when you get here, you would think you're worthless, because you're not going to be happy, and you think that things life is a nightmare. But when you start going south, that's where it gets really damaging, because you think you're worthless. That's how depression starts, because you can no longer access your gift and your talent, and you start going towards self-ignorance instead of going towards self-actualization. And self-ignorance is simply defined as the ignorance of one's own character, powers, and limitation, meaning not being aware of what you're able to do or the talents that you have. And so that's the idea. And when you find yourself in that situation, it is very hard to know how to navigate back up here, because by the time you get down here, your thought, your emotions, a lot of things that are happening inside of your mind are already being processed in a way that is not serving you. And this program is helping change that, right? It's helping you build this mental construct that will help you fight, veterans fight, or any civilians actually, because it works the same for everyone, fight these emotions that get you stuck towards self-ignorance, behaving in a way that is not in alignment with who you are. And at this point, your mind, body, and soul are completely out of alignment. You become a hypocrite. You have bad faith, because you cannot necessarily be happy and fulfilled and pretend that you lying because you just want to I'm not sure even how that can be explained. So the idea is that you cannot have it both ways. You have to go towards self-actualization. You have to learn who you are, and then your talents are just going to come out by themselves, right? And that's what we teach them. And everybody is trying to get to this point. Everyone. We are all trying to get to this point B, which is the point where we win that game Albert Einstein was referring to. And on this side of the spectrum, that's where we are the worst, the best version of ourselves. Here we are the worst version of ourselves. And on these two areas, we are the bad versions of ourselves. And we go deep into details of what that looks like. And the PDF document that I'm going to send you is going to give you those details on what it's entailed in this view. And the perfect mental configuration then is that sort of skeleton for your mindset that you develop until you get to the 100% of your self actualization, essentially. And the greatest version of ourselves is the one who's in quadrant 1 here, because that's where you want to be the best version of yourself. And then when you get here, you want to continue going as far as possible. You can go, all the way to the sky even. And so that's the idea, to figure out how to manage our thought and our emotions so that our behavior pushes in this direction, because our behavior is going to be the result of our thought and our emotion. So that's a simplistic way of putting it, but we dive in deeper. Now, why then all human beings have infinitely talents, but so few are able to hit the pinnacle of their potential? So few are able to be successful. The answer to this question is actually the same. It's also about awareness, but this time it's more about mental awareness, because 95% of everything we do as human beings is going to be subconscious. Here I have 90%, but I was just making round numbers, because in some places they say 90, in some places they say 95. But even if we say 90% of what we do is subconscious, imagine that means only 10% of the time we are conscious. And over time, our subconscious mind, based on the things that we see on TV, the experiences that we have, our subconscious mind gets infected. That's how we start getting into self-ignorance, hypocrisy, neurosis, stress, anxiety, because every time that these negative energies get in the mind, then they bring more negative thought, they bring more negative beliefs, and they blur your vision. You start seeing reality in a distorted way, because what you are going to see is going to be based on what your subconscious mind is holding. And all of these fears, right? Infectious subconscious paradigms, I call them, which are negative beliefs about ourselves, about others, about the world, that make us believe according to what they want. And we end up believing that these are our own beliefs, when in fact, these are the result of experiences that we didn't know how to process, and things that we let hanging in our mind, when in fact we can get rid of them in no time. Now, they keep on growing, and over time they completely take control of our lives, and that's actually what create PTSD, stress, anxiety, hate, anger, racism. All of these things are due to these infectious things that take roots in our mind and start with our thought. And that's essentially the idea. And the biggest of all of the challenges in this conversation is the fact that our subconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than our conscious mind. 30,000 times. Imagine that. That means we are a puppet. We are just a bunch of puppets of our mindsets, because the subconscious mind is governed by our mindset. And all of our belief, principle, convictions that we just dump in there, they are not intelligent in a way. They're just going to react based on what we want. And if we put negative things in there, that's what it's going to behave as it's going to behave in a negative way. And that's something we cannot control, because it's 30,000 times more powerful than us. We are just like a puppet compared to our mindset. So the only way to achieve what we want in life is to just make sure that our mindset is perfectly configured, and that we can just live and operate with that mathematical equation that we discussed earlier, thought plus emotion equal behavior. 100% authenticity. That's the only way to get there. 100% sincerity. But we're going to dive into that in just a moment. And that's why I said in the post online, thinking is something that we actually need to learn how to do. It's not something that someone is going to think about. But I realized that I needed to learn how to think. I watched a bunch of courses online and realized that I didn't know how to think. I didn't know how to process my emotions. And that's how I became aware that, oh, I'm not supposed to let all of this happen inside of my mind and just be a victim of it. I can actually do something. And that's what Dr. Karen Horney taught me. She's a Freudian psychologist, and she took Sigmund Freud's psychoanalysis and make it so simple. And that's why I love it. And that's also a core piece of our program, as we're going to discuss in a moment. We're not going to dive into the detail of this, but this is just explaining two other psychological frameworks, the ABC framework, which is essentially saying that we have an activating event and then a core belief attached to that event, and then the consequence, which is the consequence of our reaction. Right? And so all of this is essentially saying that our core beliefs are not necessarily in alignment with reality, and that we may believe things that are not true. And so the idea then becomes psychology. And here we have Karen Horney again and Abraham Maslow is essentially explaining how we can achieve that pinnacle of our potential by the way we process our fears versus the way we process our faith. And psychology, here we have Abraham Maslow saying, this is the symbol of psychology, by the way. Abraham Maslow here is saying that one can choose to go back towards safety or forward towards growth. Growth here is faith. And then he said, growth must be chosen again and again, and fear must be overcome again and again. This is Abraham Maslow, who created the hierarchy of needs, saying that fears, all of the things down here, we need to overcome them again and again, every day, and then transfer them in those directions. Otherwise, we end up being the worst version of ourselves, which is the unhappiest version of ourselves, the most unattractive version of ourselves, the most unintelligent, with failure, stress, anxiety, and a chronic lack of confidence in life, business, and romance. Nobody wants that, right? And so when we observe the recommendation here of Abraham Maslow, and we go towards growth always, and we reject fear always, that's when we get to being the best version of ourselves. And over time, we develop the mental muscles that allow us to do that, right? And that's how we can achieve the happiest version of ourselves, the most intelligent, the most attractive, the most confident, the most accomplished, with very, a lot of success in all areas of life. Everything you want to do, you just put your mind to it, and boom, it happened. The universe works for you. That's what psychology is teaching, And self-analysis from Karen Horney is that concept that says that human beings have the ability to remove these negative thoughts and emotions from their mind and transfer them here. That's what Abraham Maslow also is saying, because we have the ability to do that. And that's the bottom line of this program, because that's how we can help veterans using psychology, using religion, using philosophy, using everything we want, but also more importantly, using visual learning to describe the abilities that we have to develop inside of our minds in order to migrate our negative emotions and negative thought and fear and hate and anger and hypocrisy and failure and abandon, lethargy, greed, all these negative things, they have an energy. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's the energy that's going to weigh you down. And the property of that energy is that it can transfer. So the same way weighing you down, when you transfer it, it gives you more power. So every time you have fear and you decide to be fearless, you become more powerful. Every time you want to lie and you decide to tell the truth, you become more powerful. Every time you are envious or jealous and you decide to focus on your ambition and your dreams, you get closer to those ambition and dreams. And so that's the idea, that transfer of energy, regardless of what the energy is what actually create that effect that makes us grow, right? And so philosophy is teaching the same thing. We have Socrates here saying, know thyself. Science is teaching the same thing. We have the symbol of hypocrisy, which is essentially making you wear so many masks that you end up losing who you are, right? The secret, the law of the universe, ancient African religion, Taoism with the yin and yang. So it's just the yin and yang between fears and faiths. It's the exact same thing. Religion, we have here Prophet Muhammad saying, the greatest jihad is to battle your own soul, to fight the evil within yourself, because we all have these negative emotions. We all have hate, anger, fears, vanity, all these negative things, we have them. The purpose is to transfer them so that we can grow off of them, right? That's that self-actualization thing. All religion teaching the same thing. Hinduism is a little different. They have the Purusharthas, Kama and Moksha. They're leading you toward your realization. Dharma and Artha, they're leading you toward your realization, your vocation, sorry, which is essentially the same thing. And so it is Judaism saying the same thing, Confucianism, Buddhism, and of course also Christianity. And the bottom line is that this, as a diagram, we can make this evolve into a mathematical representation where people can actually measure the progress over time and use it as a tool and make it a central piece of a MSDS. Now, this is just one representation. All of these diagrams is one diagram. We have dozens of them. I just created the different versions to show people how all religions are essentially saying the same thing, then psychology, philosophical doctrines, and so forth. And there is this universal way we need to approach life. And when you deepen that understanding, then over time, you become a little smarter, and then certain decisions, you don't even think about them. Like the people who say, be careful the thought you entertain, right? It's the thought that you entertain that it actually bring these infectious thought into your mind. This has been battle tested. I had to go through hell when I went through the pain the Federal Reserve put me through. And this is some of the day where I was having the biggest sort of revelations, because at the time I was also having a lot of spiritual revelations that I couldn't even understand myself, like hyper powerful spiritual revelations. And it was at a time that I was extremely vulnerable. And so these tools have been extremely powerful, helping me before I have PTSD, and after I have PTSD, and after I beat PTSD. And so I transform myself, I transform my life, I transform my career, I transition everything using this process. It is battle tested for thousands and thousands of years. And now we have almost 100% success rate with all of our clients that we have so far. Everybody is going to report benefits. And so lifelong results, that's the one of the key benefits that we give to veterans. And all of this is for free. Everything that we've discussed so far, the information sharing is free. It's when people want a full experience that there is a paid portion. But all of this is free. The things that we discussed today, and hours of more content that we even touched today, all of that is free for veterans and anyone who is interested in mindset, military mindset transition to a civilian mindset. All of these webinars, I'm going to show it with you. I'm going to share the locations with you. And so lifelong result, we have produced a track record of amazing results, even for customers or clients who have used our products for free, you know. And so with so many personal development programs out there, we are really the most unique, the best when it comes to producing information that's easy to consume visually, and we practice what we teach. These are the 6 rules, the 6 sort of standards that that are used to that I found online. Actually, I'm just reusing it to prove that we are following a process, and that we have a strategy, and that we practice what we preach, and that our clients are also getting lifelong results and benefits for all veterans, right? And then we have a track record of success, measurable result, and proven step-by-step process, like some of the visual that we saw, and we provide real support, and that's actually where the money is used for the customer support when the people join the program in the case study. Lifelong result. So if you want to accelerate your personal, if we want to help veterans accelerate really their personal development and collapse decades of wisdom into days, then, you know, I believe that we are the only organization that provide this kind of benefits and this kind of result out there in a way that is tangible, in a way that is going to last for life. Now the choice: accelerate lifelong journey by decades, and develop decades of mindset skill growth and wisdom in just moments, right? And for free. Now, the full experience is the experience that we charge for, but what is free is our system is very unique, result-driven, measurable, scientific, and mathematical for personal development and self-actualization. And so the full experience is actually what we charge for, but the experience that's free is also also has these qualities. And these are some of the other representation that are part of the MSDS. The perfect mental configuration is simply this bicycle, and the worst mental configuration is this one. Is that skeleton that we were talking about, but it's added up with a bunch of other representation. And these are other pieces or other tools that we use in the system. And one of the most important piece is Myers-Briggs, because Myers-Briggs it can actually tell you what your cognitive functions are. And so through Myers-Briggs, we help people identify what their cognitive functions are, and therefore get to a point where they can actually see the things that they're talented as. Me, for instance, my Myers-Briggs type is INFJ, and as an INFJ, they describe me as advocate, right? And guess what I am? An advocate, a veteran advocate. So it is so accurate, and it gives you exactly the type of job and function that people with the same kind of cognitive functions that you have based on your result on that test. It's a free test that you can take online, and it gives you great information about yourself. And so that's a key piece of our program. And throughout the course, you have a handbook. This is an infographic book with the images that we saw here. These images, that's what's in this book. It's 90 pages. It's a blank page between pages and a few diagrams per page for people to take notes. And then the final exercise is the 360-degree live vision plan. And in between, there are other exercises. So that's essentially what the program is composed of. But again, what makes it unique is the visual learning aspect, because humans are visual creatures. Visuals improve learning by up to 400%. That's according to the same study. And visual are processed 60,000 times faster, right, than text. And 90% of information to the brain is visual. 40% of people respond better to visual information than text. And here we have Confucius, we say, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. So that's also the idea that seeing and doing are the best way of learning than maybe just reading and so forth. Now, the program, Be the Best Version of You, is the course on top of the mindset skill development system, and it's that idea that we have to be the John Kennedy version of ourselves, or the Michael Jordan version of ourselves, or the whomever we admire version of ourselves, in order to actually be or achieve that success and so forth. Now, the way we want to connect with veterans is through a session that we call a transformation session, where we discuss things that are similar to what we've discussed today, and we just focus it on the client and make sure we give them a great experience and give them a sense of what the program is about, so that they can determine if they want to have the full experience, or if the free content is enough for them. Now, how we provide free help to veterans. Of course, we have hours of free video content. This video is going to end up being another one of them, but we also have webinars, masterclass, content on YouTube, on the Facebook group, and so forth. So there's plenty of content, plenty of free resources on the website. And when they sign up to the newsletter, free coaching through email, when they sign up to the newsletter as well, free materials, blogs, and so forth. And so tons of free value for all veterans, and other organizations may charge even thousands to veterans or civilians for services that are providing even less value than what we're giving here for free, you know? And so that's the idea. And we offer a free transformation session. They have to go to FaithSMagnet.com/talk, and there is an S. That's why I put the S in red, to just remind myself to say that there is an S, because sometimes people write FaithSMagnet and they don't get on the right website. So I put the S in red just to remind everyone. And so that's the idea. When you go to talk, that's how we get on the phone, and you can have this transformation session with me, and we talk about what the veteran is doing. We talk about a case study. We talk about the challenges finding a mental transition assistance program today, and explain how our product is uniquely qualified as well. And so we point them as well to free resources, the test, the Myers-Briggs portion. We coach them during that free transformation session, whether or not they join the program. It's just a way for me to talk to as many people as possible, in a way. And then those who join the case study, great. So we have this case study starting on September 14, 10 days from now. And so we are, that's why we have this conversation, because we need your help spreading the word, spreading awareness around the need for a mental transition assistance program, or a military skill to civilian, military mindset to civilian mindset transition program, which would help people in your network, or veterans in your network. I don't know if you had access to the PDF and the brochures, but they are all on the Google link, and I'm also going to share that link, so that it's in the invite, but I'm also going to share that link. I've booked out time over the next 10 days to speak with veterans who want to learn more about our program and how they can course correct their life journey, right, to access the greatest possible and limitless version of themselves over time. And that's what we have these transformation sessions to really see how well adjusted they have been to the civilian world, and what kind of needs they may have, and we coach them in any way we can. And the more value we produce, the more happy they'll be. And if they do, and if we do, and if they are happy, then that's how we can have somebody who wants to have the full experience and actually learn how to do all the things that we discussed today, because today we just discussed the rules of the game based on Albert Einstein quote. And so that's what we are offering this free session. That's what I had for today. Do you guys have any questions? Anything you wanted to share?
Hi, I just wanted to say I'm very impressed by what you put together here. Oh, my goodness. I mean, I'm from both sides of that street. 13-year Army veteran, saw a lot in the military as a psychiatric counselor on a psych ward. Came out of it, was homeless twice because it was kind of not getting into stories. I dislike stories, but yeah, and there was kind of an undiagnosed anxiety. but I bounced back because of my resilience and a lot of people helping to teach me what you're showing right here. I am very impressed with this from that side, and now being someone who I am an advocate. I have my own nonprofit for veterans, and I just want to plug you into every organization I know and make sure you get funded. Goodness gracious, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I really appreciate it. Grayson, you have something you want to say?
I can't hear you that well. What? I don't know.
No, I was saying thank you, and I really appreciate your kind words. It's great, and especially when a veteran is saying something like this, it's really encouraging because, as you know, we've had challenges figuring out a way to market our services, bringing more awareness into the need of such of a service for veterans, and so this is why when you say things like that, it's encouraging even more to me. So thank you.
Yeah, I have an organization that kind of a hub for many military organizations, and I'm going to see that you partner with them and see if they can get some kind of funding, grant funding they can share with you, and they get grants. So thank you.
Grayson, is there anything you wanted to say, something you wanted to contribute, a question?
Yeah, I also just want to add that this is incredible.
Thank you.
Like Lady Valerie that was just speaking, I too left the military, experienced a high, and then was homeless, went through depression, thought about suicide and all that. And I have been getting a lot of these pieces here and there along the way that's helped me to get to where I am. And personally, I'm definitely going to work with you because I feel like I am at the level where actualization is the next step for me.
Oh yeah.
So
oh yeah. If you feel that need, that means you're already there. Don't go back
yeah.
to before, because that's the challenge that I had. When you start hitting that stage, you start feeling a little bit of a fulfillment, and there is progress, but you don't know how to keep that momentum. Because when you continue in that direction, that's how you hit that pinnacle. Everything become clear, you know. And then you get to a place where you start making moves that are actually serving you the way you want, you know. And so that's that clarity that we want, because we do a lot of things without knowing that in fact it hurts us. You know, we do a lot of things, and it's after a period of time that we realize, oh, why was I doing this? And so with this framework, we can put it in a mathematical way and say, hey, all the energies that are tied to fear, or just it doesn't matter if it's racism or jealousy or gossiping or anger or hate. It doesn't even matter. That energy alone is the weight that is going to create that weight in your soul and in your mind. And when that weight is there, you can't move forward. It's like driving going on a trip, and all of a sudden you have a flat tire. You still have 100 miles to go, but you have a flat tire. You have to stop and replace the tire, right? You're not just going to drive with a flat tire. That's the thing that we do in life. We have experiences, not just in the military, any experience in life, right? That can essentially make us lose a tire in our mind. Now, when we realize that the game plan shouldn't be, all right, I'm just going to drive for maybe 50 miles with a flat tire, and then I'll change a tire. Right? It wouldn't make sense. So, but we do that in life every day, and that's how our program is showing visually to people and say, hey, this is what we do. This is how this can help you, and then over time you start noticing these things. It becomes clearer, and that's how you navigate through life, and you're actually making progress in terms of your happiness. If your higher purpose has something to do with money, then you don't even have to think about it. is just going to come to you. You just have to focus on your higher purpose, passion, and all of this. The thing that the military is giving, we have a concept that we call the mental pillars, right? It's essentially a logic that is saying that there are certain things in our mind that are foundational. Humility, right? Beliefs, integrity, that kind of thing, fearlessness, faith, right? That kind of understanding of the core things that make our minds whole is so important, right? And the military is giving you that already, because they need you to be so strong on the battlefield. They're going to teach you a sense of service. They're going to teach you a sense of honor, discipline, all these things. And that's what this program is going to be so powerful for veterans, because they already have very strong mental pillars and fearlessness that's already in place. When you can reverse then the energy of PTSD or doubt or whatever thought that may be clouding your mind, when you get rid of it, all of that energy is now catapulting you to that higher version of yourself. Because that energy doesn't just disappear, it transforms, it switches, right? And based on your mindset skills, you can take that fear, you can take that anger and sublimate it in something more powerful. That's what Martin Luther King is doing. That's what Michael Jordan is doing. That's what all the successful people in history are doing. If you look at Bill Gates, if you look at anybody that you think is really, really, really happy first and successful, right? If you look at all of these people, they all have the exact same mental configuration, which is based on that simple humility. And now the process in the mind is what we teach in the course. Because if it's in place, you can also lose it. Because the experience that we get in life determine how efficient, right? How well we are going to grow from them. Like what they say, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? Now the same thing that didn't kill you killed somebody else. It wasn't because that somebody else was doing something or because that somebody else, you were superior to them. No, it's just because you understood better, right, how to handle that particular emotion or how to handle that particular energy and how to transform it. It's called.
And what you're saying is gold. A lot of people, we enter the military already traumatized. They say the military gives PTSD. A lot of people join the military from PTSD, and that's their childhoods. So a lot of us have never developed coping skills. And so I call the military like a girdle. It becomes this temporary fix around us, and then we get out, the girdle's off, so we're almost worse off than where we came in. So I love what you're doing.
So I love that you love it, and I'm going to do it full speed. And this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I really want people to be more aware of the need for a mental transition assistance program to help these young men and women really achieve pinnacle, because they have a lot of power. There is a lot of power in PTSD and all these things. A lot of power, especially if you have a strong faith on the religious side. We don't talk about faith as a religion for this program. Here, faith is just positive emotion with positive fear, right? Faith is fearlessness. That's the way we see it. Faith is fearlessness. Not being afraid of everybody and being willing to go and put yourself in prosperity and honesty and be fearless.
Hey, listen, I love y'all. I have to get up. I would love to stay here because you both are just giving me life. But I actually am helped because I have my nonprofit, so I'm putting stuff together to transport veterans to different locations right now who don't have food or stuff like that in the Houston, Harris County area. We will be in touch. I promise you, if not to no more than Monday, I will have you connected with some people. We have got to get you bigger.
Thank you.
Thank you.